Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. And in this video, I'm going to be going over this WaveApps review. So this video is going to be particularly useful for individuals who are deciding whether or not to use WaveApps to keep their books in check. And so I've used WaveApps for about a year and a half now, and I must say that it's definitely a solid free accounting solution, even though I've moved over to something else. Now, there was nothing wrong with it, and for small businesses, they can definitely get by with using WaveApps. But here are some things that you have to be aware about before you start using it. Now, let's start off with the pros with WaveApps. You can basically do everything for free. It's basically a software that handles invoice tracking, basic bookkeeping, and plus it connects to your bank accounts for automatic transaction importing. And you can't beat the price since it's totally free. But the downside is that some of the more advanced features are limited, and their customer support is pretty basic since it's a free product. Now, the biggest cons of WaveApps, though, is that although it's free, you do have to deal with some limitations, especially when it comes to reporting and customization. And what I mean by that is if you need really detailed reports or you want to customize your invoices extensively, you might hit some walls, okay? Some months I loved that I wasn't paying for anything for accounting software. Other months I got frustrated when I couldn't generate the exact report that I needed with WaveApps. And I think the most complex report I was able to create was pretty basic, but for simple profit and loss statements, it does work perfectly though. Now with WaveApps, there can be some limitations when your business grows and you need more advanced features. So my recommendation is that it's perfect for getting started, but you might outgrow it eventually. For me, for example, I eventually needed more sophisticated reporting, which helped my business grow, and integrations, which is why I moved to a different platform. But there was absolutely nothing wrong with WaveApps, especially if you're just starting. Now, here are my 3 tips for anyone who wants to try out WaveApps. First tip is to take advantage of that it's completely free to use and test out thoroughly. Because you have nothing to lose, I spent months learning the system, setting up my chart of accounts properly, and since it didn't cost me anything, I could take my time without worrying about subscription fees. Second tip is set up your bank connections right away because the automatic transaction importing is one of the best features about WaveApps, and it saves a ton of time. I was manually entering transactions for weeks before I realized I could automate most of it. And for a free tool, the bank integration works really well. Third tip is to use it as long as it meets the needs for your small business, okay? Because WaveApps can basically handle everything for you. And I know people who've been using it for years without any issues, and they're saving hundreds of dollars per year compared to paid alternatives. My rule is that if you're doing like less than 100K in revenue, WaveApps is probably all you need. But with WaveApps though, I'd say it was a really, really good experience overall. And I only moved away because my business needs more complex tasks. But for small businesses who are starting out, it's honestly perfect. And WaveApp support is limited, but they're there to actually help you out. And there's a lot of helpful articles and helpful videos that you can watch. So with that being said, I hope you found this video helpful. And if you're considering WaveApps, I'd say just try it out. You won't know until you actually try it out yourself. But if you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below.